Corner, and I am back as promised in February half term to update you with what I've been working on this year so far. This is Flosstube number 28. It is Thursday the 16th of February, and I got through last term. Should we just leave it at that? So I'd like to welcome everybody who's watching. Whether you're a new viewer, you're very welcome. Please subscribe and like and comment if you feel like you'd like to. And if you're a returning viewer, welcome back. It's nice to see you again. This is a Flosstube about mostly cross stitch, knitting, and a little bit of quilting this week. I have been doing a lot of reading, but I may touch on that towards the end. But I've actually been reading way too much to actually sort of fit in this video. It would be far too long otherwise. So you can find me around the internet. I'm on Instagram primarily. I am at Caroline A. Kemp, and Caroline is spelt with a K. I'm also on Twitter, but I don't use that very much, and Facebook is pretty much private, though you will see me posting occasionally around some of the stitching groups. Show notes for this episode will be on my blog, which is at carolinescorner.blogspot.com. So without further ado, I think I will crack on with what I've been working on. After some coffee. Cheers. Right, since I recorded in December, I have two fully finished objects. One of them is a piece I've been working on. I started putting together back in August, but was quite complicated. Relatively complicated. That piece is the Mermaid's Purse by C.A. Wells. This was a class I took with C.A. back in 2009, and at the time I made it a birth announcement for my daughter, who was at the time just one. So I got most of the stitching done for the class, and I had a little bit left to do on the base, which I'm not going to show you because it's got her date, time of birth on, and the assembly left to do. Now we're getting into the stage where CA wasn't giving us a lot of written instructions, because she was getting a bit funny about people reselling her kits. So she wanted you to take the class, which was fair enough, but she did actually, so I have lots of scribbled notes, and I could manage to put it together because I've done quite a few of CA stuff by that point. This was about the 5th or 6th class I'd taken with her. I'd been taking the classes with her for several years at that point by the time I took this one, so I could actually kind of work out what she wanted us to do, but she didn't make it easy for you. So this is a purse. You've got little pockets on the outsides. There's a little acorn with a bit of stuffing to make a pincushion, and it's lined on the inside down to a base, which is a different colour silk because CA had run out of the blue at that point. Hey ho. But really, really pleased that after a good 10 years of marinading on the finished but not finished pile, it's finally done. But so I started finishing this in August, and it got finished just before New Year. fact it might have been the 30th, 31st of December that I managed to finish it. So very pleased I've got that done now. So that finished off my finishes for last year, and I hit my goal of achieving 12 finishes. Something that I want to do again this year. And so I've finished the first thing. This took quite a while because again it was a little bit fiddly. But if you remember, at the end of last year I finished stitching on the Folk Art Needlebook by Hillside Samplings. So I have now put it together into its little needlebook. So the really fiddly bit was, I don't know if you can see, it's got little ribbon hinges. Now sewing them into one half is fine, but when you're trying to sew them into the second half and you're working around two bits, it's a real pain. I have to confess I did step away from the instructions and made copious use of some acid-free double-sided sticky tape because to hold it all into place while I stitched it all together. So yeah, so very pleased I've got that done. And I'll just fasten it up again. I got the kit back in 2002, 2003 off Hanging by a Thread in London. Susan and Sarah sold this sort of thing at the time. It came with this Liberty Hill box that matches the front of the needle case. So very, very pretty. I've got a few more of this range of Hillside Sampling kit, Liberty Hill kits. I've stitched up one of them, which is the hornbook, but I've another couple of them to go. So I'll see about starting them at some point. So that's my fully finished objects. So I'm very pleased with how they both come out, and I'm really pleased to have got them done. My next bit of finishing, I think, just to blast through a few quickly, I may dig through the pile and see what I can just make into quick pillow ornaments. And blast out a few quick finishes before I go back to another more complicated one. Right, I have no finishes yet, although there is one that should get finished this month. So we'll go on to whips. So I was just working my way through my rotation after I last spoke to you. So some of these got worked on in December, January and February. Some were only worked, so far have only been worked on in December and January. Some were only worked on in January because I'd already worked on them in December. So first is one of the small to medium sized projects I'm working on at the minute. This is the From the Heart basket set that Lois of Elegant Stitch, now Lady Dot Creates, released as a breast cancer fundraiser. Can't remember which year. This was the early 2000s, and I bought off her at the time. I've stitched the rest of the set. There was a needle roll, there was a sewing pocket, there was a scissor fob and needle book. So I just have the basket set to go now. And since you last saw it, well, this will show, I have worked on, I've finished this is a basket, this will be a fob for the basket. So it's a little heart, and the heart is all full of French knots. I did contemplate swapping them out for something else, but decided to put my big girl pants on and give my French knotting a workout, and reasonably pleased with how they came out. That's definitely a stitch I would normally substitute if I could. But anyway, that's done. That's the fob. And then I moved on to the pin cushion. I had hoped to get the front of the pin cushion, which is what this is, stitched this month, but I had to take up some trousers for my son, so lost a day's stitching, which is why it's not quite finished. So I've got one more of the tent stitch hearts to do, and then I have to finish the non-stitching, which I've been trying to do as I go, because I love the effect of non-stitching and unstitched edging, but boy is it tedious to stitch. So those pieces are being stitched on 35 count off-white linen by Nodden Crafts, which is what Lois had kitted it up with, and that uses 2 shades of variegated floss. This one is Thistle by Weeks Dye Works, and this one is Carnation, also by Weeks Dye Works, and the Thread Keepers a Kelmscott one that I've got. It also uses some perlé cotton and some regular DMC. So I'm hoping that next month I'll finish the front and then see how far I'll get with the back. I don't think I'll get the back done in the month, in March, so we'll see, but we'll see. So that was whip number 1. The second whip, this is the one I was just about to pick up last time I recorded. It's Skylar Wayne by Indigo Rose. And so this is one that's had 3 months worth of work on it, because I've just finished my rotation slot on Skylar Wayne, and you will see I have made tons and tons of progress. So when I was about to pick it up in December, I was stitched down to there. Since then, I have put in all the grid down here. I stitched the other big block in the middle. I brought the trees all the way down one side, and I've completed the alphabet down that side. So I'm starting to centre finish on this one. Probably not March, but definitely April. My plan for March is to finish the trees on this side and bring the alphabet all the way down. So in April I have the trees across the bottom and this block of alphabet to finish, and then it will be done, and that will be one big finish for this year. Absolutely loving stitching on this. So this is stitched on 34 count, I think, Cafe au lait linen. It's 34 or 35 count. and it is using Karen threads. So some soy crystal and 3 different colours of water lilies. So it's got moss, that one is rainforest, and Avalon, and then a blue, a taupe, a goldy brown, what's the other one? Blue and a purple soy crystal. So absolutely lovely to knit with, to stitch with those threads. I do like working with Karen threads. And like I said, absolutely thrilled with the way that Skylar Wayne is now coming together. Amazing what happens when you work on things, isn't it? Consistently. Right. The next whip is one I had actually hoped would be finished, but it's not quite. That's my Ackworth white work sampler. I really don't know with the lighting whether it'll show up or not, or whether I put Skylar Wayne behind the chart for Skylar Wayne behind it, because that's slightly darker colour and you might actually be able to see it. When you last saw it, I was working on there's a motif of acorns either side, and when I got the other set of acorns, second acorn in, I looked at the wording and thought, oh, that's really badly laid out. I really can't see if this is actually showing up or not. If it isn't, I will, when I'm editing, I'll put in a still picture. So I ripped all the wording out and recentered it and restitched it. So I just need to finish stitching Ackworth at the top, and it will be done. I think as far as finishing goes on this one, I'm just going to hem stitch it and just have it as a little small sort of hem stitch sample piece. So I ripped all the wording out and recentered it and restitched it. So I just need to finish stitching Ackworth at the top, and it will be done. I think as far as finishing goes on this one, I'm just going to hem stitch it and just have it as a little small sort of hem stitch sample piece. This was a class at the 2008 sampler gathering at Ackworth School when Jacqueline Holsworth of Needleprint Publications launched the Goodheart Samplers book. So this was designed by Lotta Hansen of the Royal School of Needlework, pulling bits from several of the Goodheart samplers. So I'll be very pleased to get that done. From tonight I'm picking this one back up again, so it'll be done by today or tomorrow. And then one you've not seen for a bit. For my second small to medium slot on my rotation, I worked on Beardy Designs Elegant Pocket. This is a kit I bought from Elegant Stitch 2005-ish. I visited the shop in 2005 and I strongly suspect I bought that then. I can't quite remember. And since you last saw this, it has grown a fair bit. I think last time I showed this on a Flosstube, I just had these 2 knots in the corner. I might have just about started on the birds. But in the last couple of months, so this got worked on in a little bit in December and January, I've put those birds in, put the flower in, flowers either side, and I stitched the heart in the middle. So I'm taken the borders down. So there is another set. This motif here is replicated under here, and then that's the back of the pouch finished, and then I've just got another section to do at the bottom. So I'm hoping by the time I record again I'll be onto the bottom section, but we'll see. Just depends how much stitching time I get. This is being stitched on 32 count elegant bean from Elegant Stitch using needlepoint silks. Two lovely shades of purple and green, and this is another Kelmscott needle thread keep. And then the biggie of the whips, Hannah Coates, 1848. So since you last saw this in December, it's grown a little bit. I've mostly been working down on this corner, and I just fold it up and then I can. I think last time I just had this creature done, and I'd have probably done some work on those flowers there. So I'm just working on my way along the bottom. This is a very, very dense stitch. So I've got 3 more little creatures in, and I've started working on the big bird. So I am down there. So yeah, so that's 2 months worth of work just in that little corner, and that's the full size of the sampler. So this one is going to take a bit of doing. I'm stitching it on 40 count light mocha linen from Zweigart using the Call for DMCs. She's quite a colourful girl, and as I've said before, my floss jewellery was a little keyring that my daughter stitched when she was away with the guides in Switzerland. Yeah, so Hannah is going to take a lot of work. So those are my whips. So we'll go on to new starts. So I've had a new start at the beginning of January and a new start in February. My new start at the beginning of January was Elizabeth Broadhead from Fox and Rabbit Designs. Now this was an exclusive through the Facebook group Homespun Needlework and Samplers. And I've made a small start. So there's quite a bit to go, as you can see from the size of the linen. But quite happy with my progress after a week. That border is going to take a fair bit of stitching. There's quite a bit of stitching in it. So this is being stitched on 40 count white clay from Fox and Rabbit Designs, and I opted to get the overdyed cottons from, as there was an option of silk or cotton. So this is a mix of classic colourworks, Weeks Dye Works. I think there may even be some gentle art in there, but I'm not sure. But lovely muted colours, and I'm quite enjoying working on her. I quite enjoyed my 5 days on Elizabeth. So my February new start was another old Hillside Samplings kit I own, which is the Strawberry Fields stitching bag and accessories. Now, this was a teaching piece that Hillside Samplings used to do, and they would offer it up to guilds, and I got mine because they allowed traditional stitches to run it as an online class. So I got mine from Janice, and I reckon it must be about 20 years it's been sat there in my stash, or pushing that long. So it was definitely time it came out and got stitched on. And this is my progress so far. I've started on the bag. Quite pleased with how far I've got. Got the top done, that's the band for the ribbon, and I've started on the bottom for the, and this will be a line of strawberries, and then there's an alphabet, and then some seeds, and then that's one half of the bag done. This is being stitched on 30 count crushed strawberry linen. I think I said it was from Access Commodities. Lovely colour, and it's all DMC threads, so those are the main DMC colours, and there's some pink perlé and green perlé as well that I'll be using later on in the finishing when I get back to that. So there you have everything I've worked on since I last recorded, which was halfway through December. So I've got various things that I'm thinking of for the next couple of months. I shall be keeping working on Skylar Way. I shall be keeping working on the two smaller pieces, the Elegant Stitch from the Heart Basket and the Elegant Pocket. I will get the Whitework sampler finished, and when I finish working on the Whitework sampler, the next class project I'm going to pick up is just the little fob that goes with my Anniversary Roses sampler that I finished a couple of years ago by Lauren Sauer of Forget Me Nots in Stitches. Now this shouldn't take very long. I've made a start on the top. I've got partway through stitching one of the flowers. So I'm really hoping that this will take, you know, February, by the end of March I should have this finished. And when I have finished working on this one, then the next class project to come up will be my Fruits of the Vine, the SIF, from a class I took with Ellen Chester at Fobbles in 2011, because that will be my next oldest whip. So I've done a chunk of that. I'm working on the sampler that's the outside of the sampler, the SIF, and then I just have the pillow to stitch. So I'm probably around the halfway point on that project, so looking forward to getting stuck in on that one. The only other change I will make in March is because Hannah is quite slow going. I'm going to put her down in March and pick up one of my other sampler whips, reproduction sampler whips, because they're all not got a huge amount done. So what I'm thinking is, to avoid burnout on Hannah, is I'll work on her for 2 months, then pull out one of my other sampler whips, do 5 days on that, then go back to Hannah for 2 months, just to break it up. And also, when I finish Hannah and I pick up one of my other sampler whips, they've not just got a tiny bit of border done, because so many of them, that's all, they've just a little bit of border. So next month I'm going to pick up Rachel Howell's, because she's the next oldest whip. And on Rachel, I've outlined the border along the top, or on the leaves of the border, and I think probably what I'll do is come down the side and outline the board down there as well. I have started doing some of the filling in on the border, but it's and just take them a little bit further so I don't feel like I'm going from a standing start whenever I get to, because I think Hannah, I can't see myself finishing her this year, even if I work on her flat out, so I might as well. She'll be the focus, she'll get the majority of the year, but I get to pick up 1 or 2 of my other whips and make a reasonable bit of progress on them. So that's my plans for March, taking me into April, because it will be probably April before I get to record again. Our Easter holidays here in Leeds are the first 2 weeks of April. We're actually going away, so I don't know whether I'll be able to, how the recording will work, but we'll see. I might take it with me, or I might just wait till we get back. I've got family coming over from New Zealand, so we're going all sort of getting together for a reasonable chunk of time. So as far as cross stitch goes, all I have left to show is some stash. Now this is one that I actually had at my last video and I forgot to get it out and show you it. It's the catalogue for the Whitney Antiques, which I'm sure you've all heard about, sampler exhibition at the end of last year. Unfortunately I couldn't make it down to Whitney, it's just a bit too far, and November's always a really busy time, so I was very pleased to get the catalogue, which is an absolute work of art with beautiful big drawings and chunk on the samplers as well. And I have to say, it's considerably thicker than a lot of, I've got a few Whitney catalogues and it's at least twice the size of all the other ones I've got. So I'm looking forward to, I already enjoying browsing through it. I should be looking forward to sitting down with it and cracking through it. The other, not a huge amount of stash I have to say this month, since I last recorded. Lakeside Needleworks had a sale on its DMC, so as one of my new starts for this year, I want to stitch Helen Kedzie from Hands Across the Sea samplers. I took advantage of the sale and got the DMC I needed to stitch Helen. And not sure when I'll start her, but she's definitely getting started at some point this year. And the only other one I got was another Hands Across the Sea samplers chart. This was Lucy Barber, which was the exclusive from Traditional Stitches. Hit all my buttons with all the bright flowers and everything else. So another beautiful sampler. I just got the chart because Nicola was shipping those and it was just easier to just get the chart in this case. So, and the last thing I got, that's my piece of paper, were from a Etsy shop called Essen K Beading, and Essen is E-S-S-E-N-N. and I got a little counting pin, if you can see that, with a dragon charm at the top, and a needle minder that says Sewist for me. I also got another needle minder that said the book is better, but that's gone to my daughter because that is her argument with everything she watches on Netflix, or she just sits there and pulls them apart. If she has read the book, she almost always prefers the book. So that's it for stash and stitching. So we will move on to knitting. No new starts. I'm still plugging away at the knitting projects that I've been working on for the last few months. However, I think I will have a finish next month on my socks. So if you remember, I'm working on a set of plain vanilla socks in an opal fresh and juicy that I'd had in my stash for some time. When you last saw them, I was there. It's my progress keeper from so for the last 2 weeks of December, I finished the leg off, I turned the heel, and I am at the stage where I am at the foot. And this is the second sock. I have already finished the first one. And I have it on good authority, these are going straight to my daughter. So there you go. But I will be very surprised if I don't finish these next month, which is when they're next coming up. So looking forward to having them finished. And my daughter is, because she claims she's grown out of all the socks I've already knit her, she needs a new pair. So those are the plain vanilla socks. In January, I worked on my habitation throw from Helen Stewart of Curious Handmade. I'm knitting this as a stash busting project. So I'm getting close to the halfway point on this now. This is being knit. I had a few mini skeins, but mostly using leftovers from all the various shawls I've knit, most of which are Helen Stewart designs. So this is where I was when we spoke last in December. So I got a little more knit in December. I mostly finished this cream section. So in January I knit the 2 pink sections, and I'm onto a pale purple section now. And as I said, it's getting quite big because I'm getting close to the halfway point. So, but I'm at the stage with this now that I can only knit a couple of rows a day. Still having issues. I can't knit a lot anymore because of my hand plays up in pincer movements. Not good for it. It would probably be better if I didn't knit at all, but as I told my osteopath, then I would end up killing people, so it's better I knit than not knit. So yeah, so quite pleased with my progress in January. This will next be out in April, so there may not be a lot of progress next time I record on this one. And I can't tell you what the different yarns are because, like I say, they were mostly unlabelled scraps, odds and sods that I had left over from shawl projects. Speaking of shawl projects, this is what I'm currently working on, my Miss May Mystery Knit Along. Although it's not a mystery because that finished back in May last year, from Helen Stewart of Curious Handmade. And here is my progress. I am now at 70% done on this. Where's my progress keeper? There we go. When you last saw it, I was there. I was just a couple of rows off finishing that pink section. So since then, I've put in another section of variegated, and I am now on to this light green lace. And I'm hoping I can get this lace section finished. So it's going to be quite big. Finish this month, and then when I pick it back up in May, it will be some more of the twisted rib in this dark green colour. So the colours I'm using, the darker green is Pendulum by Zakami Yarns. It is a 100% fine merino. The lighter green is Norton, also by Zakami Yarns, and also the 100% merino. The pink is from Fondant Fibres and is called the colourway Love Me Tender in Hannah base, which is merino and silk. And the variegated yarn was a limited edition from Meadow Yarns, and is their Coombs fingering in a Hatful of Sea New Gale, which was a superwash fine merino. Hello, have you come in? Someone has come to tell me it is tea time. You gonna come and say hello? Oh. No, you're not going to come and say hello. I have the cat, but she's not interested because I'm not immediately leaping up to feed her. That's it for knitting. I shall be, say, working on the Miss May. So as far as my knitting plans go, I'll continue working on Miss May for the rest of February. And I'm hoping I can finish off the clue that I'm working on. Then it's back to the socks, and I should get them finished in March. Which leaves me to move on to quilting. There's been a bit of quilting progress. I am down to the final clue. In fact, I've 2 mystery quilts, last year's and the year before's, that I've been working on. The year, so 2021's was Sparkle and Shine, and I have finished clue 8 and clue 9, so next time I start putting it together. So this is part of clue 8, and it is a mix of Andover linen and juicy fabrics. That's the other part of clue 8. And clue 9, it's just this long, 2 of this long piece. So my hope is to put pieces together, put all my blocks together in March, and have a completed quilt top for Sparkle and Shine. And then the other piece I was working on was So Sweet, which was the 2022 mystery, one of the 2022 mystery quilts. So this is part of clue 7 for that, and I got clue 7 and 8 done. And I am currently, and this is another part of clue 7. Clue 8. And the other part of clue 8. I have just made a start on clue 9 for this one. So I hope to get that finished this month, and then in April, assuming I've got Sparkle and Shine assembled, I'm going to assemble So Sweet, which is just as well, because I have got my first clue for this year's mystery quilt, which is called Village Green. And I have got these lovely fabrics from Sheepy Fabrics. It's the colourway is from Lisa at Modern Quilt Club, and the colourway is known as Heather. So I'm really looking forward to putting together that one, because the Sheepies definitely spoke to me. I'm doing this one as the large size. Last couple of years I've just done the small, so I will but I'm going to get both Sparkle and Shine and So Sweet Assemble before I start putting all the pieces in my little green boxes together. So yeah, so that's my plans for quilting, and I think that's it. I'll have to see how this works out, because I've made a few changes to my setup. I've invested in a ring lamp, so we'll have to see whether that has actually made any difference to the way the lighting is in here. I've also invested in a microphone, so again, we'll have to see. I'll have to judge and see if that has actually worked, and whether I need to make some changes to the way that it's all set up. So we shall see. I shall finish here. Hope you have a good September. Wishful thinking on my part, I think. I hope you have a good rest of February. I will attempt to film at some point during the Easter holidays, and I'm hoping I can get this video edited and uploaded a little quicker than I normally do, but if it takes another 2 weeks, that's just the way my life rolls, I'm afraid. Hope to see you all around, and I will have a good couple of months of stitching, and I will see you again around Easter. Thank you. See you then. Bye.